Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next in the series of lessons, setting ourselves up for the Battle of Hastings. And we can see there on the board the date, 1065. We are so close. We are 1 year away from Anglo-Saxon England all kicking off. They're going to have 3 kings, technically 4, in 1 year. There's going to be 3 major battles. And we're the year before when everything is relatively calm and people don't see the storm that's coming. So the last thing we need to look at is, why was Tostig Godwinson banished? So banished just means exiled, or when you are sent out of the country. So you're not allowed to live in the country anymore, you're kicked out of the country. So why was Tostig Godwinson banished in 1065 is our question. So we're going to start with just a little brief recap. So number 1, who was Tostig Godwinson? We've mentioned him a couple of times. So number 1, who was Tostig Godwinson? Number 2, from last lesson, according to the Normans, why did Harold go to Normandy? So what's the Norman version of why he goes? And then last one, number 3, according to the Saxons, why did Harold go to Normandy? So pause the video if you need time to write down the answers. But this is what you could have got. Tostig Godwinson, so he's son of Earl Godwin, hence Godwinson. So he's one of those Godwinson brothers. Do you remember they were all earls? They had all those strong, really good fighting brothers. So Tostig is brother to Harold Godwinson. He's brother to the Queen Edith. More on that in a bit. According to the Normans, Harold goes to tell William he is the next King of England. And do you remember the Normans say that Harold swore oaths on holy articles, holy relics, and that in breaking them and becoming King of England himself, Harold's going to be an oath breaker, which is a big thing in the Saxon time? That's according to the Normans, though. According to the Saxons, no one was talking about who was the next King of England. Harold had just gone to pick up his younger brother, his nephew, who were hostages in Normandy. No idea which side is telling the truth. One of them's lying, but we just don't know which one. Okay, so let's take a little closer look at Dear Tostig. So we've got Earl Godwin at the top. We've seen this before. And do we see he's got his sons who are the earls. So we've got Leoswine, Harold, who's going to be Harold Godwinson, Harold II, Gurth, Wulfnoth, and Tostig. So Tostig is Harold II's brother. You might remember when we talked about the power of the Godwins, Tostig often teams up with Harold to fight. They appear to get on very well. They often team up for military expeditions together. So Harold and Tostig know each other really well. Also note as well his sister Edith. So his sister Edith Godwinson, is married to Edward the Confessor. So she's Queen of England. And we think that's going to be really helpful to Tostig when the Earl of Northumbria dies. So if you look on the map, Northumbria is the brown county right at the top, the brown earldom. And it's a really important earldom. If the Vikings are invading from Scandinavia, it's the first bit of England that they get to. Similarly, Scotland, if Scotland's invading south, they have to go through Northumbria. So it's really important. The Earl of Northumbria is a very capable earl, one who can protect Northumbria, but also the kingdom. So the old Earl of Northumbria dies. He has a son, is too young to be considered to be an earldom, which is really interesting. So just because you're the son of an earl doesn't guarantee you're going to inherit the earldom if you're not in a position to rule it well. So they're looking around. Edward the Confessor needs to find a strong earl for Northumbria. And we think, we're not 100% sure, but we think what might have happened is his Queen Edith goes up to him and says, "Would you consider my brother Tostig?" So if you get a question about the power of the Godwinsons and how helpful it is that their sister is Queen of England, this is a specific example you could use The sources suggest that it was Edith who lobbies for Tostig to become Earl of Northumbria. So Tostig gets to be Earl of Northumbria. It's another win for the Godwinsons. It's yet another one of those brothers that's the Earl. So Northumbria, really important earldom. So Tostig's riding high right now. And there are lots of positives to him. He is incredibly brave and he is an excellent fighter. We're going to see it over the course. This is a time when that counts the most. So remember when we looked at Edward the Confessor and how he wasn't an excellent fighter and all the problems that that caused him, and that he's really reliant on Earl Godwin and all his sons to help him out. So Tostig, excellent fighter at a time that that really mattered. He's also really tough on law and order. We kind of take it for granted, but in the Saxon times, there's certainly no police force. There are there is a lot of crime, there's a lot of bandits, there's a lot of robbers. Travelling around the country was a really dangerous thing to do, except in Northumbria, where Tostig cracked down on law and order, that sources sort of say it was even safe to travel in Northumbria. Like, this is a really amazing thing. So in lots of ways, he is an absolutely brilliant choice to be Earl of Northumbria. However, he has quite a few negatives. Number one, he murders people. And I don't mean like in a battle, in a fair fight. I mean, he murders people. So we have stories of people coming as guests to his house. And at the time, that was a real no-no. If you're studying in English, if you're studying Macbeth, you'll know this. If someone comes as a guest at your house at this time, they are supposed to be 100% safe. He invites people to his house and then he murders them. When one of the murdered people's friends goes to the king to complain about this, to be like, Tostig murdered my friends, when that person gets back, Tostig murders him as well for telling on him. So he murders people. If you tell on him, he'll have you murdered too. If that's not enough, he also blackmails people. So he goes up to nobles and he's like, give me lots of money. If you don't, I will falsely accuse you of breaking the law and I'll have you killed. So people pay him a lot of money. So we're getting the picture here. Tostig is really a horrible, horrible human being. So that all upsets the nobles. If you're a peasant, he's not going to bother blackmailing you because you've got no money. He's not going to bother murdering you because you're not a power threat. So the nobles are upset by the first two bullet points. Peasants are upset by the bottom two. So he raises taxes. So he taxes the people more than he should. And the last one, he becomes friends with the King of Scotland. So this is Malcolm III of Scotland. Again, if you're reading Macbeth for English, Malcolm III appears in Macbeth. He's son of the king. He appears, he becomes king right at the end. So it's based on a real person. And I can understand if you're like, well, he's allowed to choose his own friends. What does this matter? The King of Scotland at this time is raiding over the border into Northumbria. So he is killing English people, he is attacking women, he's stealing from the English. And when the people of Northumbria go to their earl and like, how are you going to protect us? He says, well, I'm not, because the person doing it is my mate. He's my friend, so you're on your own. So from the peasant point of view, they're paying him all this money and he's letting his friend attack them. So he is doing a pretty rubbish job. So unsurprisingly, the people of Northumbria revolt. That's like, we could see that coming. So he lasts about 10 years. So these people put up with a lot for a decade and then they would just say, enough, this guy's a nightmare. Interestingly, Edward the Confessor was prepared to help him. Tostig goes to London, is like, there's this big revolt, will you help me? Edward's like, absolutely, you're my brother-in-law. I'll give you army, I'll give you soldiers, I'll give you money. Let's get you back in that earldom. Harold Godwinson refuses it. So Tostig's own brother stands up and is like, hold on a minute, we're not doing that. This is on you, Tostig. You messed up. Why should we bail you out? and he encourages the Witan to banish Tostig. I mean, I don't want to say poor Tostig because he was a horrible human being, but my goodness, what would that feel like to know you've been kicked out of your country? So you've gone from being an earl, from being really important, really rich, to having nothing, and your own brother is the one who's caused it. So the king was prepared to help you, but your brother stepped in and told the king not to. Goodness only knows what their mother must have thought of all this. So Harold Godwinson steps in and is like, just kick my brother out. Ugh. Okay. So it goes from bad to worse for Tostig. So there is now a vacancy for the earldom of Northumbria. Edward the Confessor needs to find a new earl. And Harold II suggests someone. So if you look at the board, if you look at the family tree, Harold II is married to a woman called Edith the Fair. So it's another Edith. Unfortunately, there are quite a few Ediths in this course. It was a really common name for women at this time. So Edith the Fair, not to be confused with his sister Edith, who was queen. So Harold marries Edith the Fair. Edith the Fair's brother ends up becoming Earl of Northumbria. So Harold kind of does a deal and is like, I'll marry your sister. In return, I'll make you Earl of Northumbria, but then you owe me one and you're loyal to me. And that's what happens. So Edith the Fair is from Mercia. She's Edith of Mercia, the grey there. So her brother ends up being Earl of Northumbria. Another one of her brothers is Earl of Mercia. So what this means for Harold Godwinson, every single earl in England is either his brother or his brother-in-law. Every single earldom. There's not a single person to stand up to him. So Tostig is watching this from exile. So he's seeing Harold marry Edith the Fair, Edith of Mercia. He's seeing her brother step into his place, going into his palace in York and running Northumbria. So you can only imagine the anger that he would have felt there. So first off, he runs up to Scotland, which is like a natural place for him. He goes to his friend Malcolm III. Malcolm III lets him stay with him for a bit. And Tostig suggests that Malcolm III might want to invade England, maybe make a play for the throne when Edward the Confessor dies. Malcolm doesn't seem that enthusiastic about it. He's already King of Scotland. It's a bit risky. But at the court of Scotland, we think Tostig meets Harald Hardrada, so the Viking king of Norway, who is interested in invading England. So more on that in a little bit. But looking back to Harold, why would Harold do this? What a thing to do to your own brother, especially when you've got on with and you've spent time with and you really bonded with. And we don't know for certain. Harold Godwinson does not leave us written sources telling us his thinking. But most people agree it's most likely that he wants to be king. So Edward the Confessor is very elderly by the standards of the time. He doesn't have children. Everybody knows that at some point Edward the Confessor will die and the throne is up for grabs. So it is potentially that Harold is thinking, if I get rid of my brother, there'll be one less person who might take the throne. So maybe Tostig will make a play to be the next king. Let's get him out of the way. Or he's thinking that when he becomes king, Tostig isn't doing a great job in the north. He's causing all this trouble. Better to get him out of the way now before it happens. Yeah. So the Godwinson brothers, very impressive in some ways, but emotional intelligence is very much lacking. And Tostig is going to come back in our story. Tostig is not going to go lightly. He's been betrayed by the person closest to him. Tostig is also going to know exactly how Howard Godwinson fights, what tactics he uses, what weaknesses he uses, and he is going to use that to his advantage. So more on that next lesson.